So I have some really great news to share, and I can do so now that it's been it's been announced. I'm gonna be an auntie. I'm gonna be auntie savvy. So anyway, my brother and sister-in-law are expecting their first child, and I'm so excited. That being said, once I found out and started to have a chat with my sister-in-law, there was, some things that she just said, nobody tells you these things. And so I was like, oh, you know what? I think she has a point. So I said, if you don't mind, I think this might make a good video. So this video is really going to be about things that I guess, you probably wish someone would have told you about pregnancy and delivery too. At the end, I'll share a little bit about labor and delivery. So these are things that she kind of mentioned, and a lot about my experiences. So just know that this is really going to be mostly helpful to you if this is your first pregnancy, and or if you plan on delivering vaginally. Again, I didn't have a C-section, so this might not be all too helpful, but again, take from it what you will. Here we go. So first trimester, you're excited, you're pregnant, and now what? I'll tell you, gloom and what feels like doom. So your first trimester, everyone says it is so cliche, but your first trimester is rough. I know, like for me, I felt like I was dealing with vertigo every single day of my first trimester. They talk about morning sickness. It ain't morning sickness, it's all day sickness. I know I was sick from 7 a.m. to about 7 p.m. with just nausea. And that's real, like nausea and dizziness. We're talking about nausea. I wish someone had told me that when you eat, it can make it worse. If you don't eat, it can make it worse. So sometimes it's just not a whole lot you can do, ladies. And of course, there's certain remedies like ginger, and of course you can have a prescription from your doctor, but just know that sometimes it just is what it is, and it's awful, but this too shall pass. Okay, first trimester, be transformed by the renewing of your mind and body. So just know in your first trimester, sometimes what you used to like, you will no longer like. What you used to hate, you will fall in love with. So that could be anything from foods to smells to things that you see. It runs the gamut. So just know that your body is changing. Your body is trying to manufacture a human being. And so you're going to experience things that you haven't before. And so you might not feel like yourself, and it's normal, and that's fine. And so since we're talking about not feeling like yourself, just know that sometimes the more the worse off you feel, it's okay. It doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong with you or with baby. I know someone who shared with me that they took a test like almost every day in the first trimester just to make sure they were still pregnant. Now, I get that if you have previously miscarried, but if you haven't and you're just nervous, try not to drive yourself crazy by doing anything like that. Like, that's excessive. Just know that you feel like crap. It is so normal in your first trimester to feel like crap. I also know someone who did not have any sickness. She felt great her whole first trimester. Apparently that is normal too. So just know it's normal. Unless, of course, you are experiencing something that is absolutely not normal for you, whether that's bleeding or severe migraines or something like that. Of course, yeah, you want to seek physician treatment or advice, but don't go overboard. Two other things I want to share. Stretch mark cream. Y'all know I'm an esthetician, so let's get into this again. Start using your moisturizer for the body right now, right this minute. Do not press go. Do not collect $100. Go back to CVS or whatever online and get you some really good stretch mark cream or moisturizer. Now, I say that because you haven't stretched yet, but guess what? In your first trimester, you can get bloated. You can lose weight too, but you can get bloated, especially if you're having more salt cravings and you're retaining that water. So guess what? Your skin is starting to do a little bit of a stretch. You want to start combating that right now. And to do that, to stave off some of those stretch marks, I want to say you can put this everywhere, and you should put it everywhere. Everywhere, I mean your hips, your inner thighs, your buttocks, your stomach, your waist, like even towards your back, your breasts. Like put it everywhere you can imagine you may stretch, and do it every day. Some people are afraid, at least, that stretch marks are hereditary. Not necessarily true. My mother has stretch marks. I have none. Zero. Zilch. But then again, I wore stretch mark cream from the day I found out I was pregnant to the end of my pregnancy. So it's okay. Last thing I wish someone had told me in my first trimester is that because your hormones change, you can start to notice a difference in your teeth and gums. So one thing I noticed about 8 or 9 weeks into my pregnancy, they got sticky. Like I flossed at least once a day, brushed at least once, of course, if not twice a day. My teeth got sticky to the tune of like I needed to get an electric toothbrush because I just felt like this was not right. I found out, of course, a few months later when I went in for my normal or routine cleaning from my hygienist that that's normal because of the fluctuation in hormones. There's something that happens with your teeth and gums, so just know that. And also, it really helps to find a good prenatal vitamin with some great calcium. I do know a few women who told me that they have lost teeth during their pregnancy because of the loss in calcium, or because their calcium levels have dropped. So just know that too about your first trimester, and hang in there for real. So let's talk a little bit about kind of what some things that people may not tell you about your second trimester. First thing is your bump in your second trimester is your best accessory, period. Your bump is starting to show. It's so cute, like you just want to flaunt it, and you should. So please do. Doesn't necessarily mean you need to go out and buy maternity clothes, but just know that really does become your best accessory. In your second trimester, more men will compliment you. No one told me that. I was not prepared for that. And I mean that. So a lot of men will, hey, you look good. Oh, congratulations. Like a lot of men compliment you. Now I found out from my husband why that might be, and I think it has something I found out to do with pornography. But anyway, some guys are into that. Just know that more men will compliment you. Now, that also means that you should not necessarily expect for people to be as courteous to you. They see your bump now, but guess what? That doesn't mean that if you take public trainings that they might offer you a seat or hold the door for you. Literally, I don't know, somehow in society now this is where we are, but just know that they don't necessarily get pregnant women certain privileges or courtesies like they used to. A couple other things with your second trimester. Find an app that is going to help you learn with every gestational week how the baby is developing. And the reason this is important is because, and I did do this, so I'm offering this to you. When you find out what's developing, you should adapt certain nutrients and foods into your eating habits. So for example, if you're finding out, baby's hearing or ears are developing or eyes or what have you, you want to incorporate, certain nutritious foods into your diet to really optimize that development. And I hope that makes sense. But that is a very good takeaway. Another thing, invest in a good belly and back brace. I did not do that. I wish I had. My coworker at the time offered me hers, and it made a big difference. I was working part-time both at the spa and at my administrative position. Both required me to sit a lot. I really needed a good back brace. So get that now in your second trimester while you don't have too much of that weight. The other thing, start to sleep with your hips open. So get yourself one of those nice wraparound pillows. Keep your hips open. If you plan to deliver vaginally, that's going to make a big difference, keeping those hips open. Don't sit with your legs crossed. Now's the time to, if you want to sit with your, try to keep those hips open. That's pretty much how I can put it. Another thing, start looking into daycare or childcare right now, as early as possible. Here's why. Those great, reputable facilities that you want your child to go to, guess what? Their wait lists are 6 months to sometimes a year. Don't know how that may have changed with the pandemic, but keep that in mind. I did not do that. Now, it just so happened with the pandemic, I get to stay home now with a doula, but in your second trimester, you really should be researching and trying to enroll your baby into those facilities. Otherwise, you may be SOL. The last thing I want to say about your second trimester, and I'm just really trying to keep it real. I wish somebody had told me in your second trimester that your cat gets fat. And by that, I think y'all know what I mean. Your snatch, your kitty, your PUSSY starts to store fat because your baby that's the habitat down there, and so it's trying to protect, and in doing so, it stores fat. Now, in the aesthetics world, we sometimes refer to this as your pubic mound. So it starts as high up as your pubic mound and as low as the labia, like you literally will store more fat in that area to the tune of being able to even, as your president says, grab it. That's normal. But you should also know that after you have a baby, you may not lose weight in that area. So, true story. Just keep that in mind.